Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and today we're going to be doing another recommendation video, but this time it's going to be for Contemporary Marriages of Convenience. I have a couple here to share with you. Some of my favorite books. I was surprised how many of my favorite books had this trope in it. I have 6 recommendations for you and 5 of them I gave 5 stars to. So I guess I really like this. I don't see it as often in books. It just doesn't come around as much, I guess, in the books that I tend to pick up. But I guess I'm gonna have to go looking for it more because obviously I like it. So for the books, we're gonna get into them. So the first one that I have to recommend is Zenny by Rebecca Weatherspoon. This book is about a woman named Zenny who, her aunt, I believe it's her aunt, passes away and she arrives for the funeral and she is invited to the will reading, and she finds out that her aunt left her a very large sum of money as like an inheritance, but she included a stipulation in it. There was a man who was included in the will also. His name is Mason, and they were both left money by Zenny's aunt, and the stipulation that is in the will is that Zenny and Mason have to get married. And I think they have to stay married for a specific amount of time. I'm thinking it's like a year. So the aunt was basically like playing matchmaker before she died, and wanted to set them up. So Zenny and Mason are required to get married before they are able to accept the money that Zenny's aunt left for the both of them. So they decide to get married and go along with it, and they end up falling in love, and it is wonderful. I absolutely love their characters. Both Zenny and Mason are bisexual, which just makes a very interesting, it adds like an extra depth to it. It has one of my favorite pegging scenes in any romance that I've read. So totally love that. Zenny is just all around a very interesting character. She has a lot of personality, and I really love her. So I would 100% recommend this book. I totally loved it. The next one that I'm going to recommend is The Marriage Effect by Carla Sorensen. This book is about Logan Ward. Logan is responsible for his 4 younger sisters. He is a professional football player, and he has 4 younger half-sisters who are quite a bit younger than him. And their father has passed away, and the girl's mother ditched the girls with him and was like, this isn't what I signed up for. My husband died and I don't want to be a single mom to 4 girls. So she goes gallivanting off on an adventure and she leaves her 4 daughters in Logan's care. And Logan adores his sisters and he would do anything for them. And he loves them dearly. Well, when one of the sisters gets into a car accident, Logan's brother shows up at the hospital, and Logan's brother, his full-blooded sibling, doesn't actually really care for the girls. I mean, I think he does in his own way, but not as much as Logan. He cares about them as a status symbol. He wants to be in charge of them. He is kind of jealous that the girl's mom left the girls with Logan instead of him. He's married, he's wealthy, he's works, he wants to send the girls to like boarding school or something. Like, he doesn't actually want them, but he wants to be known that, oh, I took in my 4 younger sisters who had nowhere to go. because he thinks it sounds good, it looks good to other people. And Logan doesn't want that to happen, but when the brother puts in for custody, his lawyer informs Logan that his brother actually has a good shot at winning custody because he is married and Logan isn't. So Logan decides that he is going to need to get married in order to do this, in order to keep the girls with him. And Paige, he ends up meeting Paige, who has Logan's phone. They had met previously. I think it's his phone. But they had met previously, and Paige needs to get in to give him his phone back. And the hospital won't let her in. And so she has a big ring on her finger, and she sneakily moves the ring to a different finger, and she shows it to the security guard and is like, well, actually, I'm Logan's fiance. I have a right to be in there. And the brother hears this and is not happy. But Logan goes with it. And Paige, who needs to get married for her own personal reasons, also is like, okay, I needed a husband, this will work. And they decide to get married. But the funny thing is that they have to pretend that they are getting married for love. They are trying to hide the fact that they're getting married for convenience from the girls and from the people who are trying to take custody of the girls. So it's really, really interesting. So they have to live together, and they have to end up working together and like raising the girls while pretending to be in love. It's hilarious. It's amazing. I absolutely love Paige. She's such she has such fiery energy. Logan is such a good brother, and he would do absolutely anything for these 4 girls, which is so sweet. And I absolutely love that. The next one that I have is With You Forever by Chloe Leese. This book is about Axel and Rooney. Rooney has a chronic illness, I think it's actually an autoimmune disease called ulcerative colitis. I think she has ulcerative colitis. And she hasn't been feeling well, and she needs some time and space to recharge. She just needs to take some time off. She needs to relax and rest and everything. And her best friend says, hey, why don't you go up to my boyfriend, I think her husband at that point, boyfriend's cabin, family cabin up in the mountains. Nobody's gonna be there. It'll be a good time, a good place to like relax and spend some time. Well, she gets up there and she finds out that it's under renovation, and Axel Bergman, who is one of the brothers of her best friend's boyfriend, whose family owns this cabin, has started doing renovations on it, and he hasn't told any of his siblings. He wants to like renovate the whole house without, like, for them without telling them. And so she is stuck. She's got really nowhere to stay, and so Axel invites Rooney to stay with him, because what else is he gonna do? And they don't super get along. It is grumpy sunshine. Rooney is very sunshiny, and Axel is grumpy. He's reclusive. He likes to be alone. I think he's on the autism spectrum also. And he just likes to be alone. He likes his solitude. And Rooney, who comes bursting into his space, she's very sunshiny. She brings a kitten, I think. She is the opposite of him. But Axel has recently found out that he has an inheritance from an uncle. I think it's an uncle. And the uncle says that he has to be married in order to accept the inheritance, and he really needs the inheritance because he needs to pay for the renovations that he's doing on the house. And so Rooney finds out that he needs to do this and decides to offer herself, and she's like, hey, I'm not doing anything. Let's get married. And so they end up getting married and living together. And they are very opposites, and it ends up working really well for them. They work so much better together than they thought. They've always kind of, not really butted heads, but just very like, they both have strong personalities, and their strong personalities are on very opposite ends of the spectrum. So it's really an interesting dynamic, and I love the way that they interact with each other. I love both of their characters separately, and I love both of them together. Once they do get together, it's kind of a begrudging get together, but they, at least on Axel's part, but it is so, so good. I absolutely loved it. The next one that I'm going to mention is Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark. This one is a different kind of marriage of convenience because it's sort of against their will. And by sort of, I mean really against their will. So Ada is the daughter of the head of the Italian mafia, and Callum is the son of the head of the Irish mafia, and they the Irish and the Italian mafia are enemies. They don't get along. And when Ada and Callum fight, and the families fight each other, the fathers end up being at sort of their wit's end, and they're like, we need to do something about this. And so the two heads of the family agree to sit down with each other and talk it out and figure out if they can come up with a solution. And their solution that they come up with is to have a marriage of convenience between Ada and Callum in order to unite the families. They are like, oh, only a marriage, only actually uniting the two families is going to be enough to end the feud and the rivalry, end the enemies, become allies. When they become family, that's the way that they're going to become allies and trusting a little bit more. And so Ada and Callum do not want to get married to each other, but they kind of have no choice because their fathers are in charge of the families. And so they begrudgingly get married. Ada is so fiery, and she does not want to get married to Callum. And she is like, you may think that this aligns our families, but you still piss me off, and I am still gonna mess with you. And so she is a spitfire, and she does everything she can to mess with Callum even after they get married. And Callum fights right back, and he doesn't just take her shit, but they end up learning to love each other's fiery energy and work together, and their arranged marriage of convenience turns into a love marriage, and it's so good. The next one that I'm going to talk about is The Penalty Box by Odette Stone. This is a hockey romance. Mika is a Russian hockey player, and he is a bad boy, I guess. And he has a bit of a rough reputation, and he also has ties to some not so nice people, and he is arrested for information on them. He's like arrested for collaboration with I think there might be like mafia ties. They're like collaboration with people who are doing illegal things, and so he's arrested in investigation against those people, and the police think he's involved. And this really screws even more with his reputation, and the owner of the hockey team that he plays for is not a fan of this, and the owner is very much like looking for clean-cut good boys who play hockey. He doesn't want scandals. He doesn't want all this bad press on his hockey team. And Mika does not want to stop playing hockey, and so his PR person comes up with this idea and is like, if you were married or in a stable relationship, then you wouldn't seem like such a bad boy. Some of your bad reputation would ease. And so Charlie is I think she actually works for the PR company. I think she's the PR person's assistant. She becomes Mika's wife. And they have a marriage of convenience in order to save Mika's reputation. And she agrees to it because I think she has money issues, so I think he's paying her. And like I think he says that he'll pay off her debt or something if she does this for him. So, but the tension between them, or the chemistry between them, really booms when they move in together and they spend a lot of time together. It's like those like forced proximity element where they now live together, they now spend a lot of their time together. The only time that they don't spend together is when Mika's at hockey. And so they realize that they have a lot of chemistry, and it's very hard to keep their hands off of each other, and it is so good. I really, really, really liked this. This is the one that I didn't give 4 stars. I didn't give 5 stars to, but I think I gave it either 4 or 4.5 stars. I still really, really enjoyed it, and would 100% recommend it. The last one that I'm going to recommend is one that I had to include in this video. I'm sure so many people have read it, but I had to include it in this video because I still love it, and that is The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. This is, I think, the one that a lot of people think of when they think of contemporary marriages of convenience. It's very popular, but it's one of my favorite Mariana Zapata books, so I had to include it. This book follows Aiden, who is a professional football player, and he is a grumpy hero. He is likes his stuff to be the way it is, and he doesn't want to change his routine. He's very into his routines and his doing things the way he wants to do them. And he's very quiet. He doesn't talk a lot. He doesn't have a lot of friends, that kind of thing. And he has a personal assistant named Vanessa. She has been his person who does literally everything for him for a very long time. She cleans his house. She cooks for him. She does everything like a personal assistant would. She keeps his schedules. So he relies on her a lot. But he is not the best boss, and he has never like thanked her or done anything nice for her or chatted with her. Like, he doesn't like he's not very friendly. And so Vanessa is kind of at her wit's end. She has this dream of, I think it's like starting a business. I can't remember what she wants to do. But she's like, I've been working here for so long. I want to start my dream career now. And so she quits. And I think like a week later, Aiden shows up at her door and is like, please don't quit. Please come back. I need you to come back. And she is not into it. She's like, no, I quit. It took a lot to quit, and I quit. But Aiden doesn't want to take no for an answer. And when Aiden finds out that he is in threat of being deported back to Canada, he thinks that the best solution is to marry an American citizen. And so he wants to marry Vanessa because he's like, I already know that we can live together. Like, you already know my routines and everything. It would just be more convenient for me if we got married. And Vanessa does not want to. She is not having it. But Vanessa has a lot of debt. She has a very heavy amount of student loans and really needs to get that down. And so when Aiden offers to pay her student loans off and buy her a house if she stays married to him, I think it's for like 5 years, if she stays married to him for a whatever period of time, then he will pay off all of her student loans and buy her a house. And she finds that very difficult to say no to. And they agree, and she agrees, and so they do end up getting married. And they move in together, and they have to act like married people for any time, like they need to seem like they got married for love or something, because it's illegal to get married to stay in the US. And this is a very, very, very slow burn book, so it's very long, and it's very slow burn, so you don't get a lot of you don't get them being together until like the very end, but oh my god, is the wait worth it. It's so, all of these little things that you notice that Vanessa doesn't really notice, but you as the reader notice, that Aiden does, that Vanessa does, that show they actually care about each other, and it's so, so, so good. I absolutely love it, and would 100% recommend it if you have not read it yet. But that was the last one that I was going to mention in this video. I absolutely love all of these books and would 100% recommend them, so please let me know down in the comments below what's your favorite romance with a marriage of convenience, contemporary marriage of convenience trope in it. But that's going to be it for this video, so thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe so you can see me in more videos, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!